Hi everyone, it's Pedro Bias, Go for Glory Stable. Today is November 23rd, 2025. I'm the founder and managing partner of the group, working alongside Charlie Longo, the general manager of the group. And yeah, so this past week, just gonna go through this. Like I said, past few weeks, like I've been talking about going through this pretty quickly. Um, wait, before we get started, just please like or subscribe these videos on YouTube as it helps the group to grow and to get out there. So as far as this past week. Um, we had a lot more action than the week before. I think the week before we only had a few races, so things are even though it's the winter and there's like a lot of tracks that are starting to close, things are actually kind of heating up for us. Because we have horses like Enola, Soho Skyfall, they're on their way back. Um, you know, probably qualifying within a week or two, and then most likely, and then we got horses like Gretzky the Great, who just made his debut for us after 3 weeks since we claimed him, and that was by design, purely by design. We were adjusting his training routine, and and then we had yeah, we just had a lot of races. So we're gonna get started right here, real quick. And for the baby owners, don't get mad at me, but like I said, you're gonna hear a lot of this. Is no news is good news. So, um, I'm just gonna say right now, from a baby perspective, they're all jogging, they're all doing their work, they're all broke, meaning, um, they know how to jog, they know how to go forward, they know how to stop, they know how to go left, they know how to go right. They're comfortable wearing the equipment, the harness equipment. They're comfortable with the driver behind them and things like that. So, um, Uh, that's all been done, so that's like one thing to check off the list. And so right now, they're just jogging every day. Literally, every day, all they're doing is jogging. That's all they're doing. And I joke around all the time. Well, I joked around last video where, it's like me right now where I haven't done exercise in a while. I will eventually, but I haven't done it in a little bit. And I can't go out and run a sprint right now, so it'll destroy my whole body physically, mentally, inside and outside. These horses, same thing. These horses are right off the farm. They might have just been walking, like in a walker, like that little, you've probably seen that before, like a little circle walker thing. They've done a walker maybe, but that's about it. And so this is like their first like real like sustained consistent exercise. So it's going to take a while for them to build up the stamina and build up the like the lung capacity, things like that. So that's kind of what's happening right now. Once you get that foundation built of all that jogging and all those miles in them, then you can start asking them to go like actually for speed. Like, all right, let's actually start trotting pretty quickly here. So um just like we humans, there's no way like I could go out and start sprinting. I'd have to build up and start doing, walking, then jogging, doing that for a sustained period of time, and then I can start saying, okay, let's go for some speed. Same thing with the horses. You can't go from never exercising to, hey, let's start sprinting and seeing what we got. So that's going on with the baby. So you won't really hear much on updates from that. Meaning we have not heard anything, bad. So they're all doing well and they're all moving along. So that's going on babies, race horses. We got a few things going on. We got to figure where Skybox is one that we're kind of like, hopefully we got all things figured out by next week. Where basically we want to, the goal is to keep that horse around. So we want to race that horse. He's finally coming around. He's finally coming into his own. It took forever. I mean, let's be honest. We did not think it was going to be like this year. We thought he was going to be just guns blazing right from the get-go, and which that's what he was, the 2 and 3 year old. Um, but it took forever, and that's kind of how it is. 2 and 3 year olds, you're doing stakes racing. When you're a 2 year old, you're only facing versus 2 year olds from, New York, if you're in New York, or Massachusetts, if you're in Massachusetts. If you're doing 3 year old, you only race versus 3 year olds from, whatever state you're in. And then if you're not doing those races, you're doing like non-winners of one, two, three, four, five, and you're racing those races. You're going to be with inexperienced horses. So if you got a 3 year old doing those races, they're going to be with, probably other 3 year olds, 4 year olds, 2 year olds, in the same, inexperienced capacity. So with that being said, um, um, it's once a horse enters, um, uh, overnight world. Once you're leaving that stakes racing and that now winners of 1 through 6, and you're entering straight overnights, that's a complete different ball game. Complete different ball game. So Skybox, you all saw it. He was amazing as 2 and 3 year old. Amazing being like rock solid. I mean, I'm not saying he was geologic, but amazing as in rock solid. Um, he made over like 100. He made like 110 grand as a 2 and 3 year old combined, which is excellent. And but once he got to the 4 year old ranks and he's facing versus older horses every week, it just took a little bit to kind of took a while to kind of get his bearings under him and kind of like adjust to the new world. So that's that. Money Man, that was a big thing this week too. So Money Man was on Monday, was on the 17th. He was sold for $52,000, and that was kind of bittersweet. It's like we wanted to keep him up to 50. So I was the bidder at 50,000. Then somebody else won 51, and then the winner got him at 52. And it's like it's. I would have loved to keep him. I would have loved to keep him, but at the same token, yeah, at the same time, it's like if you're paying 52, more than 50, we would have had to pay 53 plus. And, the way the guy who got him is a big spender. So we probably would have had to go up to like 55, 60 plus to get him. And when you're paying that much for a racehorse, they got to be really good. They got to be like, I mean, they got to be like, crushing those non-winners of, two, three, four, five levels, like just crushing them every time they race. And they got to be like bona fide, you know, uh, conditioned racehorses, and that, with potential to be an open horse at like a B track, or be like a very solid horse at an A track. So, with Money Man, it was kind of like, he had Plain Ridge closing, so he can't do Plain Ridge anymore. And then you got Yonkers. Um, and he's done a half, so he can get around a half. It's not like he can't do a half. He could do a half. It's just he's never really showed like elite level on a half. Like he's never really showed, all right, this killer gate speed, get off the gate, get to the front, get around that first turn really hard, you know, do a strong 55 mile and a half, something like that. He's never really done that. And if we were to pay a lot for him, we'd be paying a lot basically with the faith and trust that he can do that. We'd be paying a lot like that. We'd be paying a fortune basically that with the full faith that he can do that. And to me, I just, even talking with Paul and everything, there's not enough evidence that he can do that. Now, the guy who got him is a big, he's a very big time Yonkers owner. So, 52,000 for him is a drop in the bucket. Every horse he has is like 55, 75,000. So he's got like 25 horses, whatever it is, 30 horses. They're all in this price range. So to him, it's just another horse, just taking a shot on. For us, you know, eh, like that's a big nugget for us to pay on a racehorse that we're not even sure really. He's not really proven for what we want him for. Like at Meadowlands, could he have competed at Meadowlands? Yeah, I think he can do 53, pretty much 53s every day of the week at Meadowlands, which is, probably more of like middle level, middle to higher level of Meadowlands racing. But the purses aren't that great, and they don't really fill a lot of those races. A lot of those horses just don't show up to trotters, and it, it he remember in New Jersey Sire Stakes he wasn't like one of the best in the New Jersey Sire Stakes. He was like more like 10th, 11th, top 15, like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 around there in New Jersey Sire Stakes. So it's like you know he was kind of like right there on the edge. You know what I mean? And it was just a price. The pr if he like we were the reason why we were going up to 50 is because we're like all right, we can put him in the 40 claimer at Yonkers, and where he has a 50,000 tag for the rest of next year, and then hopefully he can compete there, and then we can get our money back, if worst comes to worst. But didn't really want to go more than that because even that class is not easy. That class is not easy at Yonkers. Um so so yeah, that was kind of the mindset with Money Man. And it's like, you look at a horse like some of the old Gulf of Glory guys like Austral Hanover, we only paid 43,000 for him. And at the time we paid 43,000 and we had the Stallions, Pennsylvania Stallions final. So we bought him and then he won the Pennsylvania Stallions final like a week later, for like 25 grand. It was like the best deal in town. So, like and, and he was 43. So and we were willing to go for more for Money Man because we actually knew the horse, we liked the horse, things like that. But he had 6 wins, he had $200,000 earned, so he didn't really fit anything easy. So yeah, I'm kind of going on a long thing here, but a part of me burns that we sold Money Man. Another part of me is kind of like that's a risk. He doesn't really. He would have been a very risky, expensive purchase. Put it that way. For the other like 75%, whatever, because we only had 25% of him. For the other 75% of him, would have been a pretty more of like a riskier purchase than we normally do. Like we usually look for more kind of like assurance. We usually look for more proof and evidence that these horses are going to be good before we buy them for what we're looking for the plan that we're looking for. So anyway, so that's Money Man. So he was the big sale, 52,000. So all the Money Man owners, you'll see that on your November statements, and that was a good um, another good payday. So that's an excellent payday for him. Um, so I guess that's kind of like the gear. Charlie sent an email with the gear, so that just arrived. So everyone who ordered it, you will start um, um, that'll all get shipped to you for whatever everyone ordered. And these are actually pretty nice again. I got a jacket and a beanie, which is like like a winter hat. 'Cause I didn't have that because we bought it last time in the summer. So that's coming. And Charlie will be sending out an email at some point for end of year for like the caretakers. We usually like, by the way, this is all voluntarily, like totally up to you, but we usually um, send a little like some Christmas gifts and things like that for the caretakers because they do a lot of work. Do a hell of a lot of work. Backbreaking work, you can say, and do a great job for us. So that email will be coming out at some point. Um, Yeah, I keep saying taxes because we're getting kind of towards the end of the year, so kind of keep that in your mind that like that's something. So if we start reaching out for like tax information such as like Social Security things like that, um, for people who want to get like 1099s or K1s, that'll be coming at some point in the next month or so. Um, so that's on the horizon, and then yeah, right now it's basically stakes racing. So, all right. So with all that being said, we're gonna jump into to the details of the specific horses, and I think I pretty much covered everything from that regard. All right, so let's get started. So Adios, My Lindy. Nothing to note with her. She's just turned out right now, and like I said, nothing to note. Uh, Artist best. We can go. This would have been good for Charlie to be on. He's in Philly right now doing he has some drives over there in Harris, Philly. So let's look at artist best, and we had the 8 hole. And this is kind of to be expected. We're gonna see more. We're gonna have more races at Meadowlands as we keep progressing here. So here's Charlie right here with the 8 horse, with artist best. Didn't get off the gate, which is fine. Um, those horses on the inside, 6'5", they blasted out 4, so it would have been kind of a cavalry charge. And with the amateurs, there's no guarantee you're gonna get a hole. These guys, I've never seen guys clog up the holes so bad in my life. So this is kind of like the race. Like to me, this is kind of how I expected it to kind of go. I didn't think it was gonna be that quick of a first half. I think the first half was like in 54 and change. Um, but but yeah, I mean, this is kind of like what I expected. Where as far as we're going to be on the rail in the back ish, as the race kind of progresses, and then kind of go from there. So, um, these horses are. This is a little bit better MADC amateur class than the previous week, and that's kind of how Meadowlands does it. They don't tell you which ones are better. If you just look at the program and you look at the MADCs and you look at like the Trackmaster ratings, you'll just see like one MADC will have like they're all like 68, 69. 70. Then this one, they're all like 75, 76, 77. So like this is one of the better. They moved Artist Best into one of the better, a more difficult amateur race. So there's Charlie over there. He's right here in the back, and this is where he's going wide there. Yeah, I know why he had to do it. It's just as tough. And then Tony Veruso went really wide. So then Artist Best was really pushed super out wide there. And then he had to kind of like he had to really go hard now to try to get a piece here. And he actually did close the fastest in the entire race. So the horse is still really game right now. I think we just nipped this two at the end for fifth place. Um, so so yeah, he came in fifth. He closed really hard. We're gonna, he'll be back in the box for next week, and we'll just kind of keep racing him there where he fits, and he's doing really well. So he's really in form right now. He's doing great. We just got to get a better post on the inside, and hopefully, Charlie can keep kind of working out some good trips with him. So that is Artist Best. He's doing fine. He's in great form, like I said, and that's good to see. He was, for a bit, he was kind of like I was kind of out of form. Well, I thought he was out of form, but. Um, Anyway, now is Bo Eastle. He was also at Meadowlands he was on Thursday at Meadowlands, and he was the sixth horse of Patrick Ryder. And we were 8-1, which I thought was like a really big price for us. I thought we were the best horse in the race. Um, so there he is, blasting to the lead, and that was a nice move. That was a really strong move right here to blast out like that, to get to the front. I wasn't sure what he was going to do. I actually thought we were going to kind of come for the pace, off the pace, but I like that. You know what I mean? So he gets to the front, and that was a power move. That was a power move, and that's what we expected. Non-winners 5,000. Yeah, he was competing in non-winners 7,500, non-winners like 10,000, um, in the Open at some point. I believe at in Ohio. So this class isn't very difficult for him. So that two is a 3-year-old, Blake McIntosh, 3-year-old, and he made a lot of money, or she, not sure if it's a he or she, made a lot of money, and Patrick's following that horse right now in the 2 hole, and this is actually a really good spot for us. So like I thought we were golden here, but what I was doing, if you were with me during this race, and 56-4 is pretty quick. It's not too bad actually for this group. I was actually screaming at this two to keep going, to actually kind of like, get some extension, extend a little bit from these horses. This 10 killed us. This 10 right here, this 10 is what killed us. A combination of this 2 and 10 is what killed us right here. So, Bowie's still loaded. The earplugs are still in. He never even got to pop them. This one starts going 3 wide. And then look, this 10 is still there. So like it's driving me nuts that this 10 never backed up. It's just sitting there next to us the whole entire time. And on top of that, Tyler Miller here with the two, he is not even drifting off the rail. Like I don't want to get on Tyler Miller, but he doesn't have to drift off the rail. Drivers can do whatever they want. But like that horse was beat. So, I would have thought he would drift off the rail a little bit and give the inside horse a chance, but it wasn't meant to be. And we ended up coming in fourth. We ended up kind of when we finally had room, we were able to beat out the horses for fourth. But nothing. When you're stuck like that, and you're like just completely boxed in, that's nothing you can do. So he did a good job. Patrick Ryder did a good job. It was just a bad trip. It was just not a bad trip. Well, yeah, I guess you could say bad trip. I mean, he just got, for lack of better words, he got screwed. So we were sitting, we got boxed in by the horse in front of us, who who basically was packing it in, and then the horses on the outside were flying past, and then we couldn't get by that horse, and then we also had a horse on the side of us who was blocking us in, and then we had the rail that was blocking us on the inside because there's no passing lane at Meadowlands. So it's just a kind of like a bad luck race. The horse was good, and Patrick Ryder said the horse was really good, and he'll be back in. Hopefully we get in for Friday next week. So yeah, Bowie's still he's in good shape. Um, just we just need better luck. Um, Beetlejuice Blue Chip, same news as all the yearlings, moving along nicely. He's doing well. I actually want to go see him up close. Beyond the Rules, same thing. She's doing well down in Florida, Kentucky, and then at some point in the coming weeks she'll actually head down to Florida because Paul's heading down to Florida earlier this year than usual. He's heading down like the first week of December, so he'll be down there pretty soon, and then all the yearlings and everything will be coming with him. Um, who else? We have Charming Princess. She was sold in Harrisburg, so you'll see that in the Harrisburg in the November statements, and it sold pretty well. Like I said, 27,000, so that was a good price. Anola trained really well yesterday, the 22nd, so she trained really well. Last tune up, she's just in the jog car because it's really muddy out, but she still was it was a good mile for her, and she is ready to go. She's the plan is for her to qualify Friday or Saturday next week at Meadowlands. So yeah, this is what we expected. So everyone just thank you for your patience. This is what happens with the horses. They're not machines. You gotta give them breaks every now and then. And we just felt she just deserved a little break. She's been racing super hard since she hit the track as a 2-year-old. So she deserved it. So she's fresh, she's strong, she's feeling good, and hopefully she's in to go to qualify, like I said, Friday or Saturday at Meadowlands next week. Um, who else we got? Geologic. Well, Aaron. Let me just talk about Aaron. Aaron. Um, I don't want to get into the details of like claiming and things like that in Pennsylvania, but we still haven't got the claim money yet. Believe it or not, it's over a month from Pennsylvania from Poconos. So, and that's kind of normal because whenever a horse gets claimed, they got to do like they send them to like the lab and get all these tests and this and that. So, it takes forever. And they have all these race commission holds and stuff. So, just hang in there, the Aaron owners. I mean, you saw it on your October statement, but just from my side, it's just more of like knowledge. Like every track is different. So she was claimed, but been over a month and we still haven't even seen the claim cash yet. So that's more something that we're gonna deal with on our side. But anyway, that's Aaron. Geologic, he's turned out doing great. Well deserved break. Nothing to note with him. He's doing well. Going to Vegas, same thing. She sold really well for Harrisburg, 40 grand. So everyone will see that on your November statements. Gretzky to great. Here's one I actually I watched this race a few times yesterday. Um, I watched it a few times yesterday because it was actually really good. This actually, I mean, other than him just straight up winning, this was probably um, I was extremely happy with this race. Like I said, if he won it or something like that, I would have been to the moon, but um there he is right there on the outside. It's a little grainy right now. I wish this thing wasn't so grainy when it first goes out, but he's on the outside over there with the 8. Now, yeah, here now cleaned up, just going right to the back, and that's what we wanted. Gretzky, when we first had him as a 2 and 3 year old, he was, I don't want to say crazy, but he was like really like a hothead, meaning he wanted to fly off the gate every time, so we had to take him off the pace a lot to kind of get him to cool down and just relax. So there he is. He's sitting dead last. He's sitting dead last over here um, with Brett Beckwith. And this is a pretty good field. These are a pretty good field of horses. So they're like 25 claimers, but they're pretty good, these horses. Um, so he's just sitting there in the back, and this is what we wanted. He's not where we want it from a swim training perspective, meaning like the time he spends swimming. So we expect him to be a little bit short. But there's Brett Beckwith making the move early. That's well before the half. He went out well before the half, first over, and then he picked up some cover here, so he's third over. And then if you look at this, the best thing about this race is, man, he, somebody said, oh, he paces. I forgot what the word they said, like rough or something like that, but he just paces angry. He paces angry. He wants to go forward. He wants to go a pass. He's like an alpha. He wants to pass all these horses. So he's climbing all over that six's helmet right now, and Brett is specifically holding him back because we weren't trying to really go crazy this race, and there he is going outside a little bit. He's not the greatest on the turn, so he that turn kind of got him a little bit, and Brett asked a little bit of him, not really. He just kind of more like keep going type of thing. He's not really whipping him at all, and Gretzky's actually closing probably better than all these horses. He finishes fifth by a length. So that was um that was a very impressive very impressive race from 3 weeks, without racing for 3 weeks. He did a 55 back half, which was one of the best of the entire day from all the horses that raced. And, I think in the entire race, he actually had a speed rating, Trackmaster rating that was the same as the winner and higher than the two, three, and fourth place horses in this race, meaning he did more work and performed better than the two, three, fourth horses in this race. Um, and we could see it too when you watch the replay. So yeah, we're excited for him. I was very impressed, and he's in to go next week at Meadowlands, and we're gonna list Brett Beckwith again. So hopefully we get him. But Brett said he really liked him. He said he really likes his horse, Rob said, all right, well you're gonna be put on him next week. So um that's Gretzky, and he fits pretty good. Right now he doesn't fit exactly where we want him at Meadowlands, but he still fits pretty good enough that I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this horse. And 25,000, you know, I don't want to jinx anything, but I think that was a very good price from. So, all right, Invictus race today. He let's pull him up. He was at Saratoga, and he was our first snow race of the winter. Now I say snow, but it's not like snow like on a track. Although if you look at a lot of snow around the track and everything. So yeah, this is our first snow race of the winter. He's a three horse with Jay Randall, and it was a weird race. Like I told everybody after the race, who has Invictus, it was kind of a weird race. Like right here, you know, I thought I was kind of like, wow, he's really gapping these horses. I mean, he does gap every now and then, but there's a little more gap than we normally see. But it's also really cold out, and it's also snowy. So he's a young 3-year old who's only had like 15 races in his entire life. So who knows if he's even had experience racing in something like this, or just this might be his first time ever racing in some conditions like this. Um, so there he is. He's just sitting there, and I actually thought we were going to try to flush out the two and maybe go second over in this race, or first. Definitely not first over because the two's 9 to 5. So I mean, we'd have to like pin that two in. So I thought we'd go second over here. And that four is trying to flush us out. So, right here, I'm like, all right, maybe that two is going to start going outside and we'll follow the two. And, but then you know, Jay decides to kind of stay in here or to kind of wait a little bit more for that two to go. And that two never really goes. And then this one surprisingly gets off the rail and tries to beat the five. That's Leon Bailey. He's a very aggressive driver. And right here, this part right here is what I wasn't too crazy about. Um, that little gapping right there. I thought we would have stayed up a little bit closer to this bunch. So, I mean, the good thing is, even with that being said, Invictus, he actually still, he still was the best of the rest. So he still put away all his other horses pretty good. But um yeah, I agree with everyone that we're gonna wait and see what we hear from Rob, um, and Jay Randall. Uh, it could be a lot of things going on. It could be just he could have scoped sick with mucus. You know, his blood might be a little off, or his liver, like what he had when we first got him. Maybe he just didn't like the snow. Maybe the race bike something was going on. So we got to see kind of like we'll see what the story is, but he did finish fourth. He didn't completely pack it in, and he did beat the rest of those horses pretty easily. But yeah, I agree. I thought we would have been a little bit more. Um, I thought for sure we would have been way more competitive than with that. That was a little surprising. So we'll see what's going on and let everybody know. But that's the story with Invictus. Yeah, I thought he'd be better. I thought top three at the worst. So that was interesting. So we'll see what's going on and kind of let everyone know um the story with that horse. But he's been a really great pickup for the barn overall. And he's turned into actually one of the better horses in the barn. So he's doing really well, young 3-year old. And yeah, we'll keep everyone posted what we hear. But yeah, it wasn't I thought it was not what I hoped for. So Just Rose's Luck is next. And She's the one horse here with Bruce Ranger at Plain Ridge. She raced on Tuesday at Plain Ridge. She was, I don't know if she was the favorite. Maybe she was the second favorite this race. There she is right there on the rail. Um, and you know, uh, some people were saying, well, they wish she kind of got to the front from the rail, but the rail is actually not that good at Plain Ridge because the gate is slanted. So those horses in the middle, like 3, 4, 5, 6, they actually have a better chance to get to the front than a rail horse. So here, Bruce Ranger is making his move, and you can actually see it. He actually popped the plugs. So they're actually hanging off right there. He popped the plugs. 27-2 first quarter. So like, yeah, I know why he was making the move. She was 5-2. He's making the move. He's making a power move. He's basically saying, I feel I'm the best horse in this race, so it's gonna be. I'm putting her on the lead no matter what the fractions are, and I think she's the best horse in this race. I think we're gonna win it no matter what. That's why I can't fault him. I cannot fault him for that because I kind of like that mindset. But yeah, 55 first half. This 55 flat first half. I mean, she did 55 flat at Plain Ridge in the summer when it was 100 degrees, but 55 flat during the winter, when it's freezing out, it's a whole different ball game. So, that just took a lot out of her. That three, you could tell that three was a monster this whole race. That three was climbing over our horse. Just that three was climbing over Rosa the entire race. So to me, my mindset was I kind of knew that three was the horse to beat just by how strong she looked. And then I was hoping she can hold a little bit. And that five was worse, not as good as I thought. So that helped the cause. But I thought we'd get third here. That seven destroyed my hopes and dreams right here, beating us right at the wire for third. So we just got nipped out for third. We came in fourth. It's just that 55 first half killed us. And this race, um, I think Rosa she was charted at like 54-1 or something like that. And that was actually like one of the fastest. The other division of the same class, the other division went in like 55-1. So Rosa was beaten, came in fourth, and then the same exact division went in 55-1, a full second slower. So that goes to show that we also drew pretty tough. So she's in to go on Monday, and same race, same class, and she has a rail again with Bruce Ranger. So let's see how it goes. We just need him. He kind of saw now, like, yeah, if you put her in the front, she'll go crazy, and she'll just go all out and give 110%. But just I'm gonna hope that hopefully he can ration her out a little bit more. He doesn't need to do that bottom her out type thing. Um, and then hopefully we can, yeah, I'm hoping we can do well this race. I'm really hoping we can win this race. Um, you know, but let's see how it goes. I don't want to jinx it. I'm optimistic, but I'm also, like I said, conservative in my views. So we'll kind of see how it goes. But I think she's in a good spot on Monday. So we'll see what happens. Loving on Louis. Loving on Louis. He's doing well in Kentucky, moving along. Miles always right. Same thing. Nothing to note with her. She's doing well, moving along. My Hunter. Um, he's still just getting turned out right now. This week and next week, and then after that he'll begin swim training. So, and then hopefully he'll be back at some point in later December or January. But he's doing fine. Like I said, Money Man, he was sold for 52,000 on Monday. Bittersweet. I kind of talked a lot about it in the beginning. So we'll wish him all the best. But yeah, he was. It's kind of I kind of just wish it worked out a little better when if we were able to keep him. I just with overnights, you got to be very careful with how much you pay. That initial price you pay for the overnight horses is it's like I don't want to. It's a bad equation saying like used car sales. I don't want to call horses used cars, but it's kind of like you're just trading, you're constantly like trying to, you buy this horse to race in this place, and then you're trying to like sell for a certain price to make sure you get a profit. It's a lot of like that going on, whereas yearlings is completely different. You're buying them for the dream, the hopes and dreams, and um, you're buying them based on pedigree and how they look. So we just didn't work out. It was kind of like bittersweet. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we stopped at 50,000. He went to 52, and we do wish him the best, but uh, Yeah, we did get paid pretty well for him also. 52,000 is a lot of money. So we got a lot of cash for him, and we made a lot of money with him too. So good luck and congratulations to all the Money Man owners. You guys did well, and we got him for 45,000, which was a bargain for a Walner like that, Massachusetts, and it worked out well. So good job, everyone. On tap, Lindy. He's doing well. His sibling actually came in, I think, second in the New Jersey Sire Stakes, New Jersey Standardbred Development Fund this past weekend. So that's good. I mean, like I said last week, it doesn't impact his pedigree or anything, but this goes to show that his family produces. He has a sibling now who's actually doing really well. So gives us an idea. Like his dam actually produces some good horses. Because when we got him, none of his siblings won, or at least won any sort of significant time. So now we kind of know, like, all right, he's got a good family. So that's on tap. Lindy, seen Lindy. She's same thing as the other yearlings, moving along, doing fine down in Kentucky. Seven Seagrams, she's doing well in Big Z. Nothing to note with her. Ship's Revenge is that's something that's more of a horse that Charlie and I just kind of have a little fun with before eventually we have to sell her. She's just not the kind of horses we want to keep in the barn anymore. So but she's a nice horse and she'll do fine somewhere else. She just needs like a more of like a trainer owner type thing or like a small B track or C track to race at. Um Skybox, he did we I don't think we actually did the win for Skybox. Let's do Skybox. He actually had a very big win for us last week from the 7 hole. Of course, he has the 8 hole now, 8 post. There's nothing we can do about that. Just how the draw went. So there he is with the 7 post. That's him over here. I think we have Bruce Ranger driving him, I want to say. And this is how he's to me, this is how he's supposed to be raced. You got to get him off the gate. So he gets him off the gate, he gets him in the mix right away, and I think he tucks in right here in the 4 spot. And that's the way Skybox likes to be raced. So, he's I don't want to say lazy, but he just likes to you just got to shake it up with him in the beginning. He's got to be in the mix to kind of know like, all right, I got to race today. So, gets off the gate from the 7 post. He's sitting in the 4 hole. That's perfect. 7-1. And I bet you all the bettors were angry because he's been like 2-1, 1-1, 1-2, 3-5, and then all of a sudden now nobody bets him anymore. 7-1, then he actually wins this race. But anyway, that's him right there, and that's his. I think we go first over here, and that's that's Skybox. So if anybody, all the people who've had Skybox since 2-year-old, that's how he races. He wasn't that great there in the turn there. You saw that he kind of he ran in a little bit to the inside, but then Bruce Ranger gets him straightened out, and that's that. Now he starts doing the classic Skybox, which is he doesn't have crazy speed. He doesn't have crazy acceleration, but he'll just start wearing these horses down. So he's just wearing them down, wearing them down. He's wearing down that horse on the inside, the 3, and then that 5 thinks he's got the race in the bag. Then Skybox is still right on his tail, just doesn't stop. He just got stamina to keep going. That's why we want to try this horse at Meadowlands because he just got the stamina. He's more of like a stamina grinder power horse. He's not a speed horse. He's not a horse you kind of like sit inside, whatever, and then he just like juts in 2027 in the last quarter. He's not that type. You got to like be near the front. So there he is, and he's nice and straight. He's closing in the stretch, nice and straight, and he just keeps going. He just keeps going. He puts away these horses. And Bruce Ranger wasn't really even asking him much right there, so he won pretty easily. Um, First over grind, 7-1, and that's the skybox we know. So he looked really good, and he's in to go next week. He's a bomb. I think he's like 25-1 morning line. You've got Larry Stahlbaum driving him somehow, but he's got the 8 hole, and he's bumped up in class from the 8 hole. So he's in a really tough race. To me, a check would be a win here. So not expecting. So in other words, I'm not expecting much at all especially from the 8 hole, which is crappy way for his Plain Ridge meet to kind of end. But it's what it is. So last week is the last week of Plain Ridge. So after next week, his race on Tuesday, He will be going to Big Z in New Jersey, and then the plan is to to race him. The plan is to race him all winter. It looks like he's finally getting into form, which is what we've been waiting for all year. And which it is what it is. That's what happens with 4-year-olds. And the plan is to race him all winter. So we want to see how he is at Meadowlands. Want to see how he is at some of the other tracks, maybe Yonkers, Saratoga, and if he's the horse he was as a 3-year-old that we saw as a 3-year-old, and then we saw just last week, he'll be fine. Like I said, he's not a Nola. Nola, you put her at Yonkers, she'll blast off the gate. At Yonkers, she'll blast off the gate. She'll blast to the front. She'll get around those turns. You kind of, in that last quarter, she can just sprint home and kind of out sprint horses. He's not an Enola type. He's not. I'm trying to think of a good example of, I guess Invictus is kind of like an example. He's kind of like Invictus. He just grind the horses down to submission, pure speed, grind them down to submission. Um, he he's definitely not like a Gretzky. Like Gretzky has crazy speed. He can just like out sprint horses. You know, um, Skybox is more of like he's got to be near the front. Then he'll just grind them down to the end. He'll just grind them down. So we'll see how he goes. But that's the plan. We're gonna race him all winter. Not going down to Florida. That was like a big thing that Paul and I were discussing. Um, he just feel like he's finally getting into it. So why? Just don't want to shut him down. So that's the story with Skybox. He's doing well, and he will be racing all winter. And hopefully it just keeps rolling. Um, so that's him. Soho Skyfall. So Nola qualifying next week. Soho Skyfall is probably the week after. He's just a week behind because he got sick, but he's doing well. He's where Gretzky is more like a Meadowlands horse, and Invictus will eventually be at Meadowlands too as well. Majority, almost all majority of his career. Um, Soho Skyfall, he's much more versatile. That's why he's, one of the better horses in the barn, like Soho Skyfall and the Nola, because they can do a half mile, they can do a 5/8, they can do a mile. So we'll see what we do with Soho when he comes back. But um, he is coming back pretty soon. He's doing well. So soon we'll have kind of everyone rolling again, except for Mindhunter, but he's not far behind either. He doesn't have any major issues. He just need a break. So that's that. And then Solar Queen, she's doing her thing, moving along nicely in Big Z. And second chapter, he just turned out, and then we'll see what he is for 3-year-old. So, oh, I should have mentioned it earlier. It's right in my face, the auction. So we will look to schedule an auction either this month, or we're running out of time this month, or next month. So that is on the agenda. We will get one going. Just got to find the right weekend to do it. And then same thing, Trot Talk with Paul, which is just a Zoom session with Paul that everyone kind of listening. We'll see what we can schedule that as well. That'll probably be on the Sunday. So, all right. With that being said, have a good week, everyone, and hopefully, uh, yeah, we'll see if we can get some winners. So, good luck, everyone. Thank you.